On the biggest stage in the world, FanDuel is changing the game because sometimes your player gets subbed off and your bet goes with them. Not anymore. With FanDuel Super Sub, if your player's subbed out, your bet stays in. That's right. If your player leaves the match, your bet continues on with the substitute. So you're still in it until the final whistle. Visit FanDuel.com. Get started now. Let there be goals this summer on FanDuel.
21 plus select states for Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino. 18 plus DCKYWY. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-MY-RESET. 888-789-7777. Visit ccpg.org/chat. Connecticut. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org. Maryland. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org. Call 800-327-5050. Massachusetts. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Text HOPE-NY in New York. Call 877-770-7867. Louisiana.
Visit FanDuel.com. Get started now. Let there be goals this summer on FanDuel.
By the time I hit my 50s, I'd learned a few things, like how family is precious. Work can always wait. And 99% of people over 50 already have the virus that causes shingles. Not everyone at risk will develop it, but I did. The painful, blistering rash disrupted my life for weeks. Don't learn about your shingles risk the hard way. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today. Sponsored by GSK.
WABC New York, WRCR Haverstraw, and 107.1 WLIR Hampton Bays.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noah Layden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noah
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. It is Friday, June 12th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Sunshine, hot and humid again. Could see a late day thunderstorm, high 95, and then the weekend's going to be warm as well. Saturday, sunny, high 90, and then Sunday, probably mostly cloudy for the day, and then the high 87. If you are walking out the door with us right now, 74, partly cloudy in Valley Cottage up in Rockland. It's 76 and partly cloudy in Montclair over in New Jersey, and it's 75 and cloudy right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
You better find a pool this weekend. New York gets ready for another Knicks NBA Finals game. Does anyone really have World Cup fever? A shocking scene in a Stanford supermarket. The hike from hell for a Brooklyn man. All right, let's get into it at 5:04. Heat advisory in place for the city. Tri-state again today. Heat index expected to be about 100 degrees. It was pretty brutal for part of the day yesterday. I was out with the dog. Poor dog just wanted to go back inside. Mayor Mamdani urging New Yorkers to just take it easy.
These conditions are extremely dangerous. The city is activating hundreds of free public cooling centers across the 5 boroughs.
Yeah, those cooling centers will be open again today. Will likely be open on Saturday when we hit at least 90. The summer heat going to hang around for most of the weekend. Mayor Mamdani doing the thing that all mayors do. Drink a lot of water. I mean, some of this is just obvious, of course. Wear sunscreen, and then look after older neighbors. Make sure they have the AC going.
Drink lots of water. Wear sunscreen. And look after our older neighbors who are more vulnerable to this condition.
All right, so the power went out in Brooklyn last night. This is early in the season for this kind of thing to happen. Multiple manhole fires in Bed-Stuy, leaving neighbors, businesses without power. So even if you don't have AC, you couldn't even have a fan rolling last night. That must have been brutal. Fire crews responding. This was Fulton Street about 6 o'clock when the manhole fire started.
All of a sudden, we saw smoke coming over there. So there was one car parked over there, but what you can hear is boom.
Yeah, lots of people heard that explosion. Con Ed says crews were working overnight to make repairs. Nobody was injured by these manhole fires, but of course, if you don't have AC or a fan near you, it's almost impossible to sleep last night. And as the tri-state continues to deal with this, I guess we'll call it a mini heat wave, there's this new law in effect that if a public school classroom reaches 88 degrees, students must be removed from the room. I can't even imagine imagine how you'd sit in an 88-degree room. So sure enough, yesterday, some Long Island students were sent home because of this new law. Parents seemed to be okay in taking the change in plans, having to pick up their kids early.
From what I understand, my daughter does not have AC in her classroom, and that's why we're here, and we'll go enjoy the beach.
Yeah, so it was 88 degrees in a number of classrooms across Long Island, so they called off classes for the day. And so what do when you're called out of class early? You head out to the beach. Long Beach, packed yesterday. People taking a dip, even though the water still kind of cold out there.
We were sweltering heat for quite a while, so it was nice to get in cold water. I loved it.
The AC broke down, and I was sitting there sweating. You saw water dripping from my arms. I mean, it was horrible. Overall, I had to come to the beach today with my beautiful friends over here and, make the most of it.
Yeah, so it's not warm enough where you can really hang out too long in the water. I mean, you're not going to freeze, but, it feels cool to cool off.
It was really, really hot, but I think because of the wind here and because we're by the water, it drops a little bit, but it's still really hot.
Take advantage of it because before you know it, we're going to be seeing snow again.
Yeah, there's always one guy who has to talk about that. It's going to be hot again today, so beach, pool, air conditioning, those are the three places you want to be. WABC News Time 5:08. Let's go down to Washington. President Trump indicating that a peace deal with Iran is imminent. He canceled those planned military strikes that were set for last night.
The strait will officially open as soon as we sign, which could be soon, very soon, maybe over the weekend, in Europe.
Okay, so the president said that the Strait of Hormuz will be open after the deal is signed, but U.S. Central Command, corrected him later, insisting that the strait has remained open to all commercial ships during this latest volley of missiles.
We have a signing soon, and the documents are in pretty final shape, so we'll see.
Okay. So in Tehran, there are reports that senior Iranian officials have looked over this proposal. They're calling it a memorandum of understanding with the U.S., and this morning they say it is under consideration. They haven't said it's a done deal. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard, they carried out those attacks yesterday on U.S. military assets in Bahrain, Kuwait, in Jordan, and they say what was in retaliation for some airstrikes the day before. Lebanon is having some issues, of course, taking military fire from Israel. They say that's part of this ceasefire deal as well. So the president last night again saying that he thought a peace deal could be signed as soon as this weekend, claiming that Iran's leadership approved a draft agreement that would extend the ceasefire and then maybe come up with a final deal. But this morning, Iran says no such deal has been finalized. So don't know exactly what's going on. Of course, we'll continue to follow that story out of the Middle East. 5:10, let's bring it back home. Go out to the Midwest, where thousands in the Midwest Great Lakes region have no power this morning after about 24 hours of powerful storms there. Correspondent Shaquille Brewster reports tornadoes were seen both near Iowa and Chicago.
Here in Chicago, you saw scenes of debris flying through the air, people racing to avoid some of those severe thunderstorms. We also saw a lot of impact from those winds. These scenes of trees on cars, you're seeing that really throughout the area. Another round of storms expected later today. But yesterday, we saw a little bit of everything throughout the region. We know in Wisconsin, for example, there were wind gusts that clocked in at 94 miles an hour.
As of late last night, 230,000 in Illinois did not have power. There is one death attributed to the storms. 5:11, let's head out to California, where an early poll suggests Democratic gubernatorial candidate Javier Becerra is the heavy favorite over Republican Steve Hilton in the November race for governor. Of course, November is still far away. Hilton says California desperately needs change, and Becerra is more of the same. And he says he has time to convince a lot of people of that.
I shudder to think what will happen to California if this guy wins. We are heading for the cliff, and we've got to turn away from it before it's too late.
This was a new UC Berkeley Institute of Government Studies and LA Times poll, that's a mouthful, shows Becerra supported by 52% of likely California voters. Hilton way back at 31%. The rest of respondents still say they're undecided. Hilton says he's going to stick with his main messages of his campaign that got him as far as it has already.
There's not going to be some major change in my campaign. I mean, I know people, you've had the primary, now what are you going to do in the general? It's been the same story. Cut your costs, help your business, fix our schools, common sense, practical things. They are absolutely hanging on until November this year to see if we can pull this off. And if not, they're out. I think that the exodus of businesses will be a stampede if Javier Becerra wins, an absolute stampede. If we don't change direction, I think we're heading to an economic crisis in this state. I don't think that's overstating it.
Now, Hilton said yesterday he finds it alarming that Becerra is so far ahead. He says, but again, he has time. November election still far away. We got to get through the summer.
Couldn't name a single thing that he disagreed with in terms of the policy direction of the state of California over the last 16 years. That is just absolutely disqualifying.
5:13, let's go down to Washington. Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates had these meetings, closed-door meetings this week about the Epstein files. Correspondent Haley Jackson reports that Gates testified before the House Oversight Committee this week behind closed doors. But, of course, some of this information gets out there about what they talked about.
Gates accusing the notorious sex offender of possible blackmail over Gates's extramarital affairs, saying he first met Epstein in 2011 in the interest of soliciting more donations for his philanthropic organizations. But Gates says he cut Epstein off when it became clear that was a dead end.
And he apparently told lawmakers, Gates that is, that he never victimized anyone and that he never witnessed nor had any indication that Epstein was engaging in ongoing criminal conduct.
Lawmakers say Gates was asked about emails Epstein appeared to have drafted to himself in 2013, suggesting he helped Bill get drugs after sex with Russian girls. Allegations Gates has denied. Gates has not been criminally accused of wrongdoing and says he never saw nor had any indication of Epstein's criminal conduct. Quote, I never went to his island, his ranch, or his Florida home. I have never victimized anyone. Gates does acknowledge meeting with Epstein was a grave error in judgment.
Yeah.
The two first connecting well after that controversial 2008 sweetheart plea deal that saw Epstein serving 13 months, including work release on 2 state charges in Florida.
That's Haley Jackson. 5:14, President Trump downplaying the latest inflation report. Consumer prices yesterday saw their biggest annual jump in 3 years.
The numbers driven in large part by soaring fuel costs driven by the Iran war. Groceries like coffee, lettuce, and baked goods getting more expensive too, as is dining out and taking off as jet fuel prices push up airfares.
That's correspondent Garrett Haig, the president, saying yesterday that inflation will come down like a rock once the war in Iran is over.
The president later telling the New York Post his words were taken out of context and that he meant, quote, despite the fact that we're in a war, the numbers are much lower than anticipated.
And Virginia Democratic Senator Tim Kaine says consumers are getting hit in the wallet. He says that has to end ASAP.
The war itself imposes costs, but uncertainty and chaos and start, not helping anybody.
Yeah, and this financial stress has some Americans afraid to look at one thing online. We'll tell you what that is in just a moment. But first, 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Happy Friday. Good morning, Justin Ella.
Happy Friday. Good morning to you, Noam Layden. Doesn't really matter what else is going on. We're all looking ahead to tomorrow night, 8:30 p.m. out in San Antonio. Where are you going to be watching this big Game 5?
You know, I don't know about you, but normally I don't really have a ton of invites, but tomorrow I do.
Nice.
So I have like a choice of where I want to go.
It's a Saturday night. Go ahead and do it.
I want to be close enough where if they win, I can race into the city so I can jump up and down on top of the taxi cabs.
Right. Jump on top of a taxi cab.
Like I want to be near a PATH train, so I can join in the
climb a couple of light poles. I wonder if they'll grease them up.
Buildings.
Yeah, they should grease them up. They should take it to Philadelphia, grease up the...
Did they really do that as an urban legend?
Yes. No,
they
that's
really
not urban legend.
The poles
you could see them in the middle of the night. City workers out there greasing up the lampposts. Yes,
that's crazy. I thought that was just urban legend.
No. That really happens.
Wow, that's crazy.
I don't know how you hit every single pole in the city, but
just along the parade route they did it.
Right, exactly. Right? Yeah. So tomorrow night, 8:30, big Game 5. Knicks heading in as a 5.5-point road underdogs with the Spurs back at home in San Antonio. Of course, we're up 3 games to 1, so we got 3 shots at this thing. Hopefully, we can get it done tomorrow night and secure first championship championship since 1973 for the Knickerbockers. Very exciting stuff. Out in Queens, Juan Soto hit a go-ahead homer in the 7th inning, and the Mets earned a 5-4 win over the St. Louis Cardinals to avoid being swept for the 6th time this season. Soto's 14th homer of the season was the 6th of the game. Bo Bichette added a 2-run shot in the first, and Jared Young followed with a solo shot in the same frame to get New York going offensively. Starter Christian Scott gave up 4 runs and struck out 6 in 4 2/3 innings of work. Up next for the Mets, Nolan McLean starts the opener of a 3-game series against the visiting Atlanta Braves tonight. First pitch from Citi Field scheduled for 7:15. Also tonight, Yankees picking their action back up out in Toronto against the Blue Jays. They'll be there all weekend against their AL East rival. 7:30 p.m. first pitch right around there tonight. Ryan Weathers, the lefty, will start for the Yanks. The opener of a 3-game set. Yanks are tied for first in the AL East with Tampa Bay currently. And your Stanley Cup final picked up last night with Game 5. Carolina jumping out ahead 3-2 in the form of a 4-2 victory over the Golden Knights. And your World Cup begins, or it already began yesterday, but in terms of the United States, Team USA, they begin tonight, 9 p.m. against Paraguay.
Are you going to be watching that?
How do I respectfully say no?
I watched Mexico, South Africa yesterday.
I saw all these Mexicans running around the sea.
Yeah, I mean, the bars were pretty packed.
I bet.
And one of my kids is very into soccer, so he wanted somebody to watch with him because nobody wants to watch World Cup soccer with him. So I sat there and I watched it. It was exciting. They had Shakira before the game.
Oh, did they now?
And that was fun to watch.
Her hips do not lie.
They do not.
According to reports.
Yeah.
I was calling some bars yesterday to see what the deal is with the Game 5 tomorrow night. See if I could get a table for me and some buddies.
Right.
And they're saying, are you kidding me? You got the World Cup starting. We've been booked out for 3 weeks.
Wow. So it's... why? Oh, right, because there's probably World Cup matches at the exact same time.
Yeah, and then people looked ahead and predicted that the NBA Finals might go more than 4 games, and they booked these tables for the nights that these games would fall on,
You're going to just sit on the couch and watch it, I guess.
I guess so. Maybe I'll throw a big banger at my apartment.
Right.
Louise invited, you're invited. To
wow, that's another invite I have.
Oh, that's fun. All right, well, this is
fun.
fun.
I don't think she sang that, though.
No,
too bad.
Why wouldn't she? That's a banger.
Yeah, watching those hips.
All right, I don't get all day for this. I got to get back to work.
Oh, my God, did you say banger?
He did.
Gotta go.
WABC News Time 521. Nearly 1 in 3 Americans are not checking their bank balances right now.
That's according to a U.S. bank survey of over 3,000 adults. Younger adults reported the sharpest money stress, with nearly half of Gen Z saying they avoid checking their accounts entirely. Nearly 3/4 of millennials reported high or moderate anxiety over checking and saving balances, while 1 in 4 adults said they would need $10,000 saved to avoid financial stress.
Yikes.
I'm Mark Mayfield.
SpaceX about to launch the largest IPO ever.
The deal that could make Elon Musk a trillionaire is going on today. The reusable rocket company is selling more than 555 million shares of the company for $135 apiece. It values the company at more than $1.7 trillion. As CEO, Musk will still retain more than 80% of the voting power. The shares are listed on NASDAQ under the ticker SPCX. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
That is crazy that by the end of the day, he could be a trillionaire. 522, President Trump says he's taking action now to lower the cost of seafood for Americans. The president announced he's reversing regulations on the fishing industry to increase U.S. competitiveness with other nations.
Hundreds of thousands of square miles of ocean was cut off for them. They can't fish. Other people could fish. They couldn't. These people weren't allowed to fish.
Yeah, so some of this new executive order includes expanding access to key fishing grounds in the Atlantic and the Pacific that have been off bounds to fishermen.
It's amazing. They had I think it was 500 mile by 500 mile, massive amount of the Atlantic Ocean. You weren't allowed to fish, but Canada was. Japan was. They all came in and fished, but our people weren't allowed to fish there.
Yes, so President Trump surrounded by fishing industry workers as he signed that executive order in the Oval Office yesterday. Down to Texas, which has been reliably red really for, decades now. But after a bruising primary that saw Ken Paxton as the party's choice for Senate, national Republicans are a little worried about this race, so they're rallying for unity.
We have to keep Texas red. It is essential to protecting and preserving
serving our majority in the United States Senate.
Yes, Senate Majority Leader John Thune, who lost the race there, says that the party leaders have been coordinating with the Paxton campaign. New polling out this week shows that he is essentially, Ken Paxton, tied with the Democrat Texas State Representative James Tallarico.
If we lose Texas, we're in big trouble.
Yeah, and a new advertising blitz is trying to paint Democratic Senate candidate Tallarico as a moderate. They're hoping to convince Republicans that it's okay to vote for him at the same time and vote for GOP leaders like the governor.
The Tallarico camp knows full well that they need some reliable Republican voters for him to have a possibility of defeating Ken Paxton.
Yeah, Rice political analyst Mark Jones says that Democrats have the cash to do this, and they're spending big time.
Having that person abstain or cast a protest vote for the Libertarian Ted Brown would also be good for the Tallarico campaign. They're going after that Republican voter who is a loyal Republican, but for whom Ken Paxton is simply a bridge too far.
Yeah, so one PAC alone has pledged $62 million on advertising, polling, and research through November. While we're in Texas, even more of those flesh-eating flies have been detected there.
USDA has confirmed 7 New World screwworm cases here in the United States.
Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins, touring a ranch that is ground zero for the New World screwworm threat. The fly lays its eggs in open wounds, and if left untreated in livestock, it causes death in days.
We're going to beat this. We beat it before, and we're going to beat it again.
This is the first outbreak since the 1970s. Rollins telling Congress that the last administration had just 10 people working on the threat. She's got a bigger staff.
A week ago, before it was even confirmed, we had over 110 full-time staff.
And as she spoke before Congress, she said that she was pushing back on these suggestions that the administration was not ready for this
We
fight.
had staffed up over the last 15 months in preparation, almost a 1,000% increase.
Yeah, those ranchers in Texas really being hurt. Not just the screwworm fly, but a drought has thinned their herds as well. 5:25, as Justin said, the World Cup got underway yesterday. The global soccer tournament taking place in North America for the first time. It'll be Canada, Mexico, and here in the U.S. right over at MetLife Stadium. New Jersey is one of the sites. The opening game was in Mexico City yesterday, where Tony Waterman reports the excitement, at least there, has been building big time.
Things were pretty quiet yesterday morning, but by last night, you had fans that were out on the streets in their team jerseys, cheering, chanting, really hyping themselves up ahead of today's game.
Now, this is the biggest World Cup tournament ever. They've added more teams, features 48 countries from around the world, held in 16 cities across North America, with 11 of them in the U.S., 3 in Mexico, and 2 in Canada.
I was talking to a couple just yesterday who said they spent $7,000 on 2 tickets to today's opening match between Mexico and South Africa. And those are tickets that are in the nosebleed section.
Yeah, I was watching an interview with the Argentinians are apparently the craziest when it comes to the World Cup. Like, it's not unusual to do things like this one woman did. I saw she was interviewed heading to the World Cup because she wants to see Argentina play. And she said that she had bought tickets a while back, some crazy amount of money. And then her employer told her she couldn't go, that they were short on workers. So she quit. She quit her job to go to the World Cup. And apparently that's not unusual. They say there's a fair amount of those stories every World Cup of people from Argentina quitting their jobs when their employers tell them they can't go to the World Cup. That's how crazy they are for it.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Friday, June 12th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Sunshine, hot and humid again. Could see one of those late day thunderstorms, the high 95. And then Saturday, sunny, high 90. Sunday, mostly cloudy, high 87. If you're walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are, 74, partly cloudy in Valley Cottage up in Rockland, 76 and partly cloudy in Montclair over in New Jersey, and it's 75 and cloudy right outside our Midtown studios. WABC News Time 5:41. Knicks fans ready, can't wait for Saturday night, Game 5. They're up in the NBA Finals 3-1. The Game 5 is in San Antonio on Saturday night. And no matter where you went over the last 24 hours, all anybody wanted to talk about, of course, was that comeback in Game 4. I know I found myself re-watching it a couple times because it was so exciting.
Hell yeah, get it done. Finish the job.
I mean, it would be cool to see them win here, but it'd be better for my health if they just win on Saturday and close it out.
We just want them to win, that's all. But they will win. What they did last night, it's no way they're not winning.
Yeah, so the Knicks, of course, haven't won a championship since 1973. They are awfully close to this one. And yeah, a lot of fans say, I don't want it to come back to New York, even though it would be fun to finish off the Spurs here in the city. Nobody wants to take any more chances.
Going around the city, like the vibes are just higher than they've been in a while. Everyone seems happier. Everyone's, you just walk around, you see Knicks merch everywhere.
I feel beyond the real New Yorker. There's so much love out here. Everybody's together now, man.
Yeah, well, that wasn't all love. I mean, there was a lot of arrests after that game on Wednesday night.
It's crazy. At one point, thought it was over. 29-point lead. Knock it down. The boys came in clutch in the last 2 minutes.
You definitely didn't want to send the series back to San Antonio 2-2. And I think as a Knicks fan, you're a little scarred from everything we've been through. So to go back to San Antonio 3-1 is just a big relief.
I knew we were going to win the game.
Now, a secondary story to this whole NBA Finals is, first of all, just as exciting. The Knicks are in it and looks like they're about to win it. Is this stupid watch parties outside Madison Square Garden. It's been a fight between the Garden and the owner of the Knicks, James Dolan, and Mayor Mamdani about holding these parties and how they're being policed. Now, Mayor Mamdani telling Eyewitness News yesterday that he understands why people want to watch outside the Garden.
Absolutely. What we are looking to have is a moment where New York City and New Yorkers can celebrate and also can do so safely. And I'm confident in our ability to do that, and we're hopeful that that continues to be the case.
So you think that you can actually have a watch party outside MSG with more than 1,000 people?
Yes, we've seen that before. He requested a watch party from 500 to 1,000 people. We approved it for the maximal amount.
Now, he claims that the mayor, that James Dolan didn't want more than 1,000 people. James Dolan said that he felt like that whole area had been turned into a police state. So it's not really clear exactly what's going on between the two.
We want this to be a moment where every New Yorker can celebrate because it is an incredible moment.
Yeah, so after Wednesday night's game, thousands took over 8th Avenue, and we're getting all the numbers. And in the end, there were 50 arrests, 50 from Game 4 out in and around the Garden. 10 police officers were injured, including one who was hit in the face with a glass bottle. And the mayor says, no, you can't do that kind of thing.
This is not acceptable, whether in this moment or any moment. And I am fully confident in our NYPD to provide that safety and security, and also to ensure that it happens alongside the vast majority of New Yorkers still being able to celebrate responsibly.
You looking forward to a victory parade for the Knicks?
I'll say this. I don't want to jinx it as a fan, but as a mayor, I am preparing for every logistical outcome.
Yeah, we don't want to jinx that. And World Cup fever. Can I call it that in New York? I guess to the people who love soccer, it's World Cup fever for them. So yesterday was Mexico versus South Africa, and there's a pretty large Mexican community here in New York City, and they pack bars to watch their home country play.
I'm very excited. I'm there to support my hometown, where my family's from, my parents are from. New York is known for their sports. They're known for football, they're known for basketball, especially now since the Knicks are in the finals. But the World Cup is it's a very beautiful thing. It brings people together, brings nations together.
Yeah, so Mexico went on to win that game 2-0. See, I even have the terminology right.
I think I'm ready to lose my voice. It's gonna get crazy. I believe in Mexico because, I've supported them since day one.
And the Americans, they'll take the field for the first time at SoFi Stadium tonight at 9 o'clock. First American game. They're playing Paraguay. In a moment, we will head up to the Bronx, where somebody attacked a 15-year-old, apparently for no reason, and his mom is speaking out. We'll get to that in just a moment. First, 5:45, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk, and here's Justin Ella.
Well, you're 1 for 2 on the terminology there, Noam.
What's that?
Well, you got 2-0. That was
is
great.
That correct?
Then you said Team USA is going to take the field?
What do they
That's
do?
like Zoran Mamdani calling MSG a stadium.
What do they take?
They take the pitch.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah. They're going to go out on the pitch.
You're right.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
No, it's all right. I mean, let me correct that for you. So, Team USA will play tonight, their first World Cup game. And
they'll take the pitch.
they're going to take the pitch against Paraguay at 9 p.m. Neither of us will be watching that.
No.
Sports sponsored by Pete Morgan of Peerless Boilers. Go to peerlessboilers.com to find a deal near you. Peerless Boilers, the world's best built of boilers. We're really looking forward to tomorrow night, 8:30 p.m. NBA Finals, Game 5 out in San Antonio. Our Knicks, of course, very commanding series lead, 3-1, looking to wrap things up, secure their first championship since 1973. And they are 5.5-point road underdogs heading into that big Game 5 tomorrow night in San Antonio. In Queens, on the diamond, Juan Soto hit a go-ahead homer in the 7th inning, and the Mets earned a 5-4 win over the Cardinals to avoid being swept for the 6th time this season. Soto's 14th homer of the season was his 6th of the game. Bo Bichette added a 2-run shot in the first, and Jared Young followed with a solo shot in the same frame to get New York going offensively. Starter Christian Scott gave up 4 runs and struck out 6 in 4 2/3 innings. Up next for the Mets, Nolan McLean starts the opener of a 3-game series against the visiting Atlanta Braves tonight. First pitch from Citi Field is scheduled for 7:15 p.m. Also tonight, the Yankees will pick up their action after an off day yesterday. They'll spend the weekend up in Toronto against the Blue Jays. 7:30 p.m. first pitch tonight for Game 1 of 3. Ryan Weathers will get the start in the opener. Yanks are tied for first place in the AL East with Tampa Bay right now. Stanley Cup final picked up last night out in Carolina. Hurricanes doubled up the Golden Knights 4-2, and they take a 3-2 series lead in the Stanley Cup final. And again, as previously mentioned, Team USA starts their World Cup action tonight at 9 p.m. against Paraguay.
Woohoo!
Woo! That is your sports, sponsored by Pete Morgan of Peerless Boilers. Go to peerlessboilers.com. Find a dealer near you. Peerless Boilers, the world's best boilers. I'm Justin Alex, 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:49. What kind of creep attacks a 15-year-old for no reason? Police, a Bronx mom, they're looking for this jerk who attacked her 15-year-old son as he walked to school in Westchester Square. This took place last Friday, but police releasing a photo, I guess it's from a surveillance camera, of this individual. Emmy Lynn Ann Montez says her son Elijah was on his way to school when he was punched multiple times for no reason by some stranger. Just ran up to him.
He was crossing the street. He didn't see the guy come from the side. He just felt 2 hits to the face and he ran. It's every parent's worst nightmare to hear your kid crying saying he got hit. He doesn't understand. So pull up and to see him bloody, his glasses broken, he's disoriented, it's scary. It's heartbreaking.
The attack left that teen cuts, bruises on his face, damaged his eyeglasses. Surveillance video obtained by the family shows a man believed to be the attacker walking through the area shortly after this incident, which occurred just minutes from Elijah's school, has left him fearful. The mom had just let her teen walk to school on his own, take the subway and that kind of thing, and now he's all afraid to do that. And who can blame him after being attacked for no reason? They didn't mug him or anything. They just punched him in the face, this guy, a couple times, and then ran off. The family hopes the victims or witnesses will come forward and help police identify the suspect, because apparently he has struck before.
This was scary for him, and I don't want him to be afraid of the streets. I don't want him to lose his independence when he's just getting it. But, he's hurt. My son might see him again. I'm worried that, someone else's kid is going to get hit. I'm worried about the seniors in this neighborhood.
Yeah, and when this woman did the interview yesterday, somebody else came forward and said, I recognize that guy, and he attacked me as well. Police have not announced any arrests, but they say anybody who has any information on this individual after seeing these pictures of him should absolutely give them a holler. 5:51 out to Queens. You remember the story couple weeks back of a 14-year-old boy who was just walking on a Saturday morning in Queens in Jackson Heights when he was hit by a piece of building facade. It happened on the windy day in Jackson Heights. This was on May 30th. This teen was walking on 82nd Street between Roosevelt and 37th Avenue when a piece of concrete came crashing down on his head. Now we're hearing from the parents that he's not in great shape. So he had to get 8 stitches to close the gash in his head. He then apparently is having issues with eating. He's having bad headaches. Now, the Department of Building inspectors determined that part of the building's some decorative thing came loose off this building. It bounced off a store awning, and then it struck the teen. So now they're suing. the building's owner since the incident because he's, again, not in great shape. Here's the family's lawyer.
Feel strongly that if the stone landed an inch closer to the center of his head, he might have been killed. Regardless of whether it's landmarked or not, the building wasn't properly maintained if this incident occurred.
Yes, so they filed a lawsuit against Redmond Associates accusing the company of neglect. The parents of the teen say he's missed a fair amount of school. He is struggling to chew his food, has been experiencing headaches and vision problems since getting hit by this thing. They believe the incident could have been prevented, hope the landlords will take preventative measures to do something so this doesn't happen again. In the meantime, though, they are suing Redmond Associates. 5:53, another story. That you may remember. Do you remember this guy that was accused of being drunk behind the wheel on Long Island? He slammed into and killed a Nassau County police officer. This was back in January. The driver behind the wheel, who was drunk, 21-year-old Matthew Smith, yesterday changed his plea to guilty to a slew of charges, including aggravated vehicular homicide, driving while intoxicated, among other things, in connection to the death of Patricia Espinoza. This was the woman who both her husband and her were police officers. The 21-year-old also agreed to forfeit his vehicle, but I imagine he won't be able to drive it because he'll be in prison for a while. Here is Smith's lawyer on why he decided to change his plea to guilty.
And we hope that by doing this in a quick fashion to prevent the Espinoza family from having to come to court repeatedly and having to endure a trial, that we are offering our sincere apologies.
Investigators say they found a bottle of rum, a shot glass in Smith's truck that day. Smith's sentencing scheduled for July 20th. He faces 22 years or up to 22 years in prison. The PBA, they were asked to respond to this guilty plea yesterday, and here's the head of the PBA out in Nassau County.
Are we happy with the plea? No. We're happy that we don't have to go through a trial and listen to the recklessness, the total disregard for human life. This family is destroyed.
Yeah, Espinoza leaves behind a husband and an infant daughter. 5:55, Governor Hochul continues to fire back at federal officials after Border Czar Tom Homan warned that he was going to send a bunch of ICE agents here to New York. Governor Hochul was holding a roundtable in Queens yesterday where she did not mince words about how she feels about the potential increase of ICE agents in the city. Now, this is after she said that county jails would not hold on to people arrested by ICE.
The world has changed so dramatically under this administration and the threats by Tom Homan, which we're hearing, but I want to send a message right back. Not here, not New York, not ever.
Now, Homan says no, he needs to send these people in now to search for these people who now would be in hiding if they're not behind bars. She says, the Hochul says sending more ICE agents to the city would create chaos here. WABC News Time 5:55 up to Connecticut, where a woman in a checkout line at a supermarket there was seen unleashing a racist rant on another shopper. And this thing's gone viral. The racist rant happened inside a supermarket as Serena Gupta says she was making some returns to that supermarket.
The returns were just taking a little bit longer than usual. And that is when the customer began to, get impatient. I suggested that she could go use one of the other registers. That is when she just completely unprovoked lashed out at me and yelled, "Go back to your country."
Yes, so Gupta, this woman went on for so long and was so out of her mind racist that Gupta pulled out her phone and started taping the rant. You would think that would stop the woman, but it did not.
Oh, I'm sorry. Am I taking your time with your big, long return, you fat ass? Go back to your country and get your little thumbs up. Stay out of America. Go eat your bacon.
Yeah, Gupta posted the clip to TikTok, and that's why people have seen it. And sure enough, they figured out who this woman was who was making these terrible comments. And it ends up she works as a nurse at a local nursing home.
The thought of somebody like her working with such a vulnerable population, many of color, is a really scary thought to me.
Yeah, and yesterday her employer, Nathaniel Winthrall Nursing Home, issued a statement saying that they're deeply troubled by the comments that were made in this video and that they're investigating.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?